Hello everyone, welcome back. So Flutter 3.38 and Dart 3.10 were just released. Let's go through the blog post. Hi Flutter community, my name is Emma Twalski and I am unbelievably excited to be your new lead for Flutter and Dart DevRel. I am not just here to talk about new feature, I am here for this community. The number one reason I am here is for the incredible culture we have. If you haven't read it, check out Flutter's culture and how to preserve it. It's all about being open, modest, and respectful, all while building fantastic cross-platform apps. And that's what Flutter and Dart are all about. I'm so excited to be part of this community, and I can't wait to share all that we are working on. Speaking of fantastic cross-platform app, our friends over at Notebook LM have been going viral with their Flutter app this year. We visited them to hear about how Flutter accelerated their launch. Check it out. In fact, you can listen to the audio overview of this blog post and all of its linked sources in Notebook LM. Still with me? Then hold on to your keyboards because Flutter 3.38 and Dart 3.10 are now available and they are hot. These releases are packed with usability enhancements and improvements to our developer tooling, and yes, that includes AI. Building the future of apps with Google AI and the future of apps series. We've got a whole new Flutter Flight Plan series dropping this month and next to show you how to build the next generation of apps with Flutter, Firebase and Gemini. Build dynamic UI with Flutter Gen UI. The new Flutter Gen UI SDK is here to help you build dynamic UI that adapts based on your user's intent. Don't believe me? Watch the video getting started with Gen UI and then check out Gen UI package to see it in action. The easiest way to build with AI. We have built a sample app powered by Firebase AI logic that helps you create a nice launching point for integrating AI features into your app. This sample app covers features such as using multimodal content generation in addition to the Gemini conversational live API. Get your hands dirty in the Flutter AI playground. Behind multi-platform Flutter apps with Gemini CLI, head to the docs to join into the Flutter extension for Gemini CLI. Productivity and platform power. What's new in Flutter 3.38 and 3.10? Now for the main event, here's what's new and why you should be excited. Dart 3.10 highlights more expressive, concise and robust code. Dot shorthands, less typing, more coding. Instead of main access alignment dot start, you can now just write dot start. Check out the dot shorthands page to learn more. Build hooks, now stable. Compile native code or bundle native assets directly with your Dart package. Get all the details in the hooks page or watch the build hooks video and more. There's a new analyzer plugin system. You can use this system to write your own analysis rules and employ IDE quick fixes. Use the new deprecated annotation for deprecating specific functionality. Dive into the Dart 3.10 technical blog post for full story. Flutter 3.38 highlights a more refined framework, better platform integration and slicker developer tools. Web enhancement, we got a config file for Flutter Run, proxy support and hot reload for the web because who has time to wait. Framework and UI overlay portal is more powerful than ever and predictive back gesture is now default on Android. We are also polishing up materials and Cooper. iOS updates, full support for iOS 26 and Xcode 26. Command line deployment and a super important guide for migrating Flutter apps. Android updates, NDK R28 is here for 16 KB page size compatibility. We have plugged a major memory leak and updated to Java 17 tooling. Big updates to the experimental widget previewer tool and IDEs. Go play. Accessibility, we are always working to make Flutter more inclusive. Say hello to the new sliver semantics widget and better default behaviors. Want all the nitty-gritty details? Of course you do. Check out the Flutter 3.38 technical blog post. Community and ecosystem spotlight. This release cycle our community has been as active as ever with a host of valuable contribution. Here are just few examples. Window display properties. Thanks to 9AZX, you can now get detailed display information on Windows including monitor list, display sizes, refresh rates and DPI. New convenience constructors. Amadeus added a sliver grid.list constructor providing a cleaner API for creating grid from list of widgets. Enhanced gesture handling. Introduced an long press callback to the Inkwell widget to specifically handle the release of a long press gesture. More flexible widgets. I am Toricool added a max count parameter to the batch count constructor and R Kishan 516 added a momentary variant to Cupertino sliding segmented control. Important fixes: we have also saw crucial fixes for scrolling behavior from Manu and Yim, focus issues from Romain, and more. Let's be real, this community is everything. You are the reason Flutter is what it is today, and beyond OSS contributions to Flutter Score, we are constantly blown away by what you create. In this release, we are putting the spotlight on Killian and the framework Jasper. Where Flutter's web support is great for application, Jasper is a traditional DOM-based HTML CSS web framework that is built on top of Dart. It is great complement to Flutter Web for when you want a Dart-based solution to build sites. We were so impressed that we migrated our entire documentation infrastructure, both Dart.dev and docs.flutter.dev, over to it. Pretty cool, right? We asked Killian and the team to share the full story in a future blog post, so you will be hearing from them soon. In the meantime, we recommend that you try it out yourself. For getting started, so what are you waiting for? Upgrade to Flutter 3.38 and Dart 3.10. Let's build the future together. Now let's go to this particular blog post of what's new in Flutter 3.38. Welcome back to our regularly scheduled quarterly releases, Flutter 3.38. This update is all about boosting your productivity and refining the developer experience with dot shorthands and updates to widget previews. Thanks to our community, this release includes 825 total commits from 145 unique contributors, with 37 being first time contributors. Let's dig into what's new in this release. Dot shorthands, write more concise Dart code. We are excited to announce a new Dart feature, Dot Shorthands. Shorthands reduce boilerplate by letting you omit types that Dart can infer. For example, you can use shorthands to write dot start instead of main access alignment dot start. So something like this. This also works for named constructor. You can write dot all instead of edge insets dot all. This feature is on by default in Dart 3.10 and Flutter 3.38. For more information, check out the dot shorthands page on dart.dev. You can also read about this and more like Dart hooks in the Dart 3.10 release blog post. The Flutter run command now supports a configuration file for web settings. This enables you to specify host, port, certificate and header information in a webdev config.yaml file at the root of your project. Check the file in so everyone on your team debugs with the same setting. For more information, visit setting up a web development configuration file. Along with existing command line flags, the webdev config file also supports new proxy settings. Proxy settings makes it possible to forward requests to configured paths to another server. This makes it easier to develop a web client that connects to dynamic endpoints on the same host. Details about proxy settings are also at setting up a web development configuration file. Stateful hot reload is now enabled by default when running -d web-server and you open the link to your Flutter application in a browser. This even works with multiple browsers connected at the same time. As with -d Chrome, this feature can be temporarily disabled using the no web experimental hot reload flag. The ability to disable the feature will be removed in future release. So if you encounter problems in your development workflow, please file a bug using Dart's web hot reload issue template. For more information, see the hot reload on the web documentation. This release includes a number of powerful new capabilities and refinements across the framework, giving developers more granular control over advanced UI and navigation and platform interaction. Developers now have more power when creating pop-ups, dialogues and other floating UI elements. With Overlay Portal, it is now possible to render a child in any overlay up the widget tree using Overlay Portal.overlay child layout builder, making it easier to show an app-wide notification or other UI that needs to escape the layout constraints of its parent widget. The underlying overlay of .off method was also made more robust and efficient. For a more modern Android navigation experience, predictive back route transitions are now enabled by default in Material app. When a user performs the back gesture, they now see a preview of the home screen as the current route animates away. In addition, the default page transition has been updated to fade forward page transition builder from zoom page transition builder to reflect native behavior. This release also deepens desktop integration. On Windows, developer can now access a list of connected display and query details property for each, such as resolution, refresh rate and physical size. This enables the creation of application with sophisticated window management feature. Finally, the framework itself is now more resilient. Errors that occur in the widget lifecycle callbacks, such as did update widgets, are now handled more gracefully, preventing them from causing cascading failure in the element tree. Resize image now correctly implements equality, which makes image caching and comparison more predictable by ensuring that identical resize image providers are treated the same. On the web, UI polish continues with a fix to R super ellipse that prevents rendering errors when corner radii are larger than the widget itself. Instead, such cases will be treated to produce the pill shape as expected. For international users, detecting the browser's preferred local is now more robust. The engine now uses the standard intl.local web API to parse browser languages, replacing the previous manual and more fragile implementation. This change leads to more reliable local detection and better experience for global audience. An Android specific bug has been resolved, primarily affecting Samsung devices with hardware keyboards. Previously, after a user interacted with a text field, the Android input method editor could get stuck in a stale state. This caused the IME to mistakenly intercept enter or space key presses, preventing non-text widgets like checkbox or radio button from receiving the event. This fix ensures that the input method manager is correctly reset when a text connection closes, clearing the IME stale state and restoring predictable hardware keyboard interactions for user. The Material and Cupertino libraries continue to evolve with a focus on API consistency and polished user experience. This release brings a major API migration, new widget capabilities, and numerous refinements that makes building beautiful functional UIs more straightforward. Building on the deprecation of Material state, this release continues the internal migration to the more unified widget state. This provides a consistent, expressive way to define a widget's appearance across different interaction states such as pressed, hovered, or disabled, and requires no change for existing apps. This migration has been applied to a wide range of widgets and their themes, including icon button, elevated button, checkbox, and switch. The new API also adds power and flexibility. For instance, icon button now includes a states controller property that allows for more programmatic control over its visual state, opening the door to more custom and interactive designs. This release also introduces several new features and convenience APIs. The bash.count constructor now includes a max count parameter to easily cap the displayed count. For finer grained gesture control, the Inkwell widget now features an long press up callback, useful for triggering actions that should only complete when the user lifts their finger. The Cupertino library also continues its journey towards better iOS fidelity. The Cupertino sliding segmented control adds an is momentary property to allow the control to trigger actions without persisting a selection. To better match native iOS behavior, the Cupertino sheet now features a subtle stretch effect when dragged upward while fully expanded. Finally, this release is packed with refinements that polish the behavior of core components. Highlights include a fix for drop-down menu form field to correctly clear its text field when a form is reset, and updates to segmented button to improve focus handling and ensure its border correctly reflects the widget state. We have been doing a lot of planning for decoupling the Material and Cupertino libraries from the framework. The following list includes several discussions around some recently published design docs. Improving the release process for Flutter package, which will include Material and Cupertino after decoupling. Status decided. Ideas first party packages release strategy. Decided on batch release, one pager, publicly shared. Colors and dot shorthand status decided. A basic color set for Flutter, publicly shared. Decoupling states test status in progress. Decoupling framework test, publicly shared. Text status in discussion. Flutter decoupling design from text, publicly shared. Scrolling more robust and predictable slivers. This release brings a number of fixes that makes building complex scrolling layouts, especially those using sliver main axis group and sliver cross axis group, more robust and predictable. Developers using these widgets to group multiple slivers will find that gesture handling is now more reliable. Hit testing for tabs and other pointer events on slivers within these groups is now correctly calculated, ensuring that user interaction behave as expected. Several other fixes contribute to more accurate scrolling behavior within a sliver main axis group. Overscrolling issues when using a pinned header are resolved. Calling show on screen to reveal a sliver now works correctly, and the internal scroll offset calculation is more precise. For developer building custom scroll views, the new sliver grid.list constructor offers a cleaner way to create a grid from a simple list of children. This release also improves focus navigation for keyboard and D-pad users in complex layout. In nested scroll views with different scroll axes such as vertical list of horizontal carousels, directional focus navigation is now more predictable and preventing the focus from jumping unexpectedly between sections. Accessibility, a more inclusive experience for all users. Making application accessible to all users is a cornerstone of Flutter framework. This release continues that commitment by giving developers more programmatic control, improving the experience for international users, and polishing the accessibility of core widgets. For developers building complex applications, this release introduces the ability to turn on accessibility by default on iOS by using widget flutter binding.instance.ensure semantics. Debugging accessibility issues is now easier as debug dump semantics tree includes additional text input validation results information to help diagnose problems more quickly. For advanced accessibility in sliver based scrolling views, the new sliver semantics widget is now available. Much like the existing semantics widget, developers can use sliver semantics inside a custom scroll view to annotate portion of their sliver tree with specific semantic information. This is particularly useful for annotating headers, assigning semantic roles, and adding descriptive labels to slivers for screen readers, providing a more understandable and accessible experience for users. Finally, the accessibility of core widgets continue to be refined. The Cupertino expansion tile is now accessible by default, and the autocomplete widget now announces the status of search results to the user. Other improvements such as larger touch target in the time picker contribute to a more accessible out-of-the-box experience. iOS, we are happy to confirm that Flutter fully supports the latest platform releases: iOS 26, Xcode 26, macOS 26, all of which we were released in September. This ensures you can immediately begin developing and testing your apps on Apple's newest operating system and tooling. You might have already noticed significant quality of life improvements for iOS developers shipped in the last release in Flutter, addressing a long-standing user annoyance, the requirement for Xcode application to launch automatically when running Flutter apps on a physical device using Flutter Run. We have introduced a new deployment method using the Xcode 26 command line tool device.ctl for app installation, launch, and debugging. This transition eliminates the need to invoke Xcode application during deployment and relies solely on command line Xcode build tools in most cases. If you see problems, you can disable this deployment method with flutter config no enable LLDB debugging, and please file an issue to let us know. Previously, this feature relied on Xcode automation, which became unstable and flaky on Xcode 26, especially when running consecutive commands. If you are now developing for the newest Apple releases, we strongly recommend upgrading your version of Flutter to 3.38 or higher. UI scene lifecycle migration. Flutter 3.38 includes essential support for Apple mandated UI scene lifecycle. This is critical proactive update following Apple's announcement at WWDC 25. In this release following iOS 26, any UIKit app built with the latest SDK will be required to use the UI scene lifecycle, otherwise it will not launch. To ensure iOS Flutter application remain compatible and launch successfully in future iOS releases, a migration is required. All existing iOS Flutter application must migrate to the new cycle. You have two paths to complete this migration: manual migration, follow the manual migration instruction provided on Flutter's website; automatic migration, experimental, enable an experimental feature to handle the migration automatically. This will be enabled by default in a future release. Run the following command. Migrating Flutter plugins that rely on applications lifecycle events must be updated to use the UI scene lifecycle events. Plugin developers should refer to the migration guide. Plugins that have not migrated will display warnings in a future release. Migrating embedded Flutter. For projects that embed Flutter within a native host application, migrating is optional but highly recommended. Adopting Flutter's new UI scene APIs using the Add to App migration guide enables scene lifecycle events for your plugins, ensuring compatibility with the Flutter ecosystem. 16 KB page size compatibility. Upgrading to Flutter 3.38 is essential preparation for Google Play's 16 KB page size compatibility requirement. Starting November 1, 2025, apps targeting Android 15 and higher must support 16 KB page sizes. This change ensures your app runs correctly on high RAM devices, offering performance benefits like up to 30% faster launches. Flutter 3.38 updates the default Android NDK version to NDK R28, the minimum required for native code to achieve proper alignment for 16 KB support. Flutter 3.38 fixes a significant memory leak impacting all Flutter apps on Android. The issue introduced in 3.29 occurred when activities were destroyed upon exit as configured by developer settings, or when activities were killed by system due to low memory. Android dependency updates. It can often be a challenge to figure out the right combination of version for Android dependency that will work for your app, including Gradle, Android Gradle plugin, Kotlin Gradle plugin, Java and others. For Flutter 3.38 release, we tested and confirmed compatibility in our continuous integration environment with the following set of Android dependency version. Java 17 required minimum version for Android development in Flutter 3.38. KGP 2.2.20 maximum known and supported Kotlin Gradle plugin version for the tooling. AGP 8.level.1, the newest Android Gradle plugin version compatible with KGP 2.2.20. Gradle 8.14, this version works with chosen versions of Java, KGP and AGP. Note that Gradle 8.13 is the minimum version required for AGP 8.level.1. To ensure that your application seamlessly works across Flutter releases, we strongly encourage you to use the API level variable vended by Flutter SDK in your build files. The configured values for this release are flutter.compile SDK version API 36, target SDK version API 36, min SDK version API 24. The performance overlay has been refactored to be more efficient, reducing its rendering time on both Skia and Impeller backends. This means you get more accurate performance data with less overhead. Vulkan and OpenGL ES. Numerous fixes and improvements to the Vulkan and OpenGL ES backends improved stability and performance on a wider range of devices. This includes better handling of pipeline caches, fence waiters, and image layout transition. Work continues to unify the Canvas kit and SKWASM renderers. This release includes significant refactoring to share more code between the two, which will lead to a more consistent experience and faster development in the future. Thread merging. The ability to opt out of thread merging has been removed from iOS and Android. For more information, check out the Great Thread Merge video. Experimental widgets preview updates. Flutter 3.35 introduced widget previews, an experimental feature ready for early feedback from the community. The Flutter 3.38 release brings significant improvements to widget previews, including IDE integration. Both our VS Code and IntelliJ Android Studio plugin are updated with the initial support for widget previews. You can now view your previews directly within your IDE for a more seamless development experience. When used within an IDE, the widget preview environment is configured by default to filter the displayed previews based on the currently selected source file. Widget preview environment theming and control improvements. The widget preview environment now supports light and dark mode as well as custom IDE color schemes to match your development environment. Controls within the widget preview environment have also been adjusted to use less space, leaving more room available for rendering previews. Preview extensibility. The preview annotation class is no longer marked as final and can now be extended to create custom preview annotations, allowing for less boilerplate for common preview types. Multi-preview support. A new multi-preview base class allows for creating multi-preview variations from a single custom annotation. Preview groups. A new group parameter in the preview class allows the grouping of related previews. Reduced restrictions around preview annotation arguments. Private constants are now supported as arguments to preview annotation. Function arguments such as wrapper and theme are still required to have public, statically accessible names. Widget previews is still an experimental feature and your feedback is critical in shaping its future. The APIs and user experience are not yet stable and will change as we learn from you. Based on early feedback, more enhancements are planned to improve the widget preview experience, including Flutter DevTools widget inspector support. The widget inspector has been updated to support inspecting previews within the widget preview environment. We plan to embed the inspector directly within the widget previewer, making it easily accessible regardless of your development. Multi-project support in IDEs. The widget previewer currently only supports displaying previews contained within a single project or pub workspace. We are actively investigating options to support IDE sessions with Flutter, multiple Flutter projects. Startup performance improvements. Opportunities for performance improvements are being investigated to reduce initial startup times, including launching a pre-compiled widget preview environment after the first run, parallelizing preview detection logic to better handle larger projects. To get started, check out the documentation and let us know what you think. So yeah, here you can read the docs, give feedback and learn more. Important note, there is a known issue where the widget previewer can crash or stop updating after a Flutter DevTools update. Flutter 3.38 contains fixes for some of the top pain points user called out in 2025 DevTools user survey, including network panel improvements made it easier to understand when the panel is recording network traffic, fixed issues around copy pasting network request, fixed a bug where selecting a widget sometimes open the underlying framework source code instead of the user source code, fixed a bug occasionally preventing interaction with the top buttons inside the inspector panel, deprecation and breaking changes. This release includes several important deprecation and breaking changes as part of the ongoing effort to modernize and improve the Flutter framework. Key build and tooling changes have been made that might affect custom build scripts. The version file at the root of the Flutter SDK has been removed in favor of a new flutter.version.json file located in bin cache. Additionally, the asset manifest.json file is no longer generated by default. Other notable changes include, for more predictable behavior, a snack bar that includes an action will no longer auto dismiss. The overlay portal.target root overlay constructor is deprecated in favor of the more flexible overlay portal. Several properties on Cupertino dynamic color such as with alpha and with opacity are now deprecated in favor of standard color methods. Flutter 3.38 requires Java 17 as the minimum version of Android, matching the Gradle 8.14 minimum requirement. For more details on migration guidance on this and other changes, check out the breaking changes pages. Flutter 3.38 is focused on making your day-to-day development faster and more enjoyable. These enhancements aim to streamline the way you build. We are incredibly grateful for the hard work and feedback from every community member who contributed to this release. For a comprehensive list of changes, be sure to check out the detailed breaking changes and release notes. To get a free boost to your productivity, simply run Flutter upgrade. Now let's move on to the Dart blog post. Today we are excited to announce the release of Dart 3.10. This release continues our focus on improving the core developer experience. The new Dot shorthands feature will help you write more readable and less verbose code. We are also introducing a powerful new analyzer plugin system that allows you to create custom static analysis rules that integrate directly into your IDE, and we are excited to announce that build hooks are now stable. This release also brings several improvements to pub.dev and package management. You will find new search capabilities in the likes tab in your profile, and package authors can now disable manual publishing for improved security. Finally, we have added a suite of new, more specific deprecation annotation to give you fine-grained control over your API's evolution. Dot shorthands. Dart 3.10 introduces dot shorthands. This new feature lets you omit redundant class or enum names where the compiler can infer the type from the context. Let's take a look at common scenario logging. Before you might have written something like this: since the level parameter already expects a log level, repeating the enum name is unnecessary. With dot shorthands, you can now write it like this. The code now focuses on the value error rather than the type log level. Dot shorthands aren't just for enums, you can also use them with constructor, static method, static fields. To learn more, read our dot shorthands guide. Have you ever been reviewing code and thought, shouldn't the analyzer be able to catch that? Now it can. Dart 3.10 introduces a powerful new plugin system for Dart Analyzer. This allows you to write and use your own static analysis rules that integrate directly into IDEs and command line tools like Dart Analyze and Flutter Analyze. You can use Analyzer plugins to enforce project specific rules such as bespoke lints and warnings to maintain conventions in your team's code base. Avoid common pitfalls and best practices specific to your domain. Automate code changes by providing quick fixes and assets to assets to help automatically correct issues or migrate to new APIs. This new system is the result of significant architectural effort to enable a rich ecosystem of community driven tools, and we would like to extend a special thanks to community contributor Philip for his valuable fixes and features for the analyzer in general. To use an analyzer plugin, simply add it to your analysis options.yaml file. To learn more about creating your own custom rules, see the documentation for writing an analyzer plugin. Integrating native code like C++, Rust or Swift into a Dart package often require managing complex platform-specific build files like CMake or Gradle. With Dart 3.10, the process is now dramatically simpler. We are excited to announce that build hooks, formerly known as native assets, are now stable. You can use these hooks to compile native code or download native assets like dynamic libraries and bundle them directly with your Dart package. This powerful capability lets you reuse existing native code or library from within your package and eliminates the need to write separate build files such as SPM, Gradle or CMake for different operating systems. To learn more, see the documentation for writing a build hook or watch the Flutter build show episode on build hook. Remove deprecation lint. When you release a new version of a package, it's a best practice to remove any APIs you previously marked as deprecated. This keeps your package clean and prevents developers from using outdated code. However, it's easy to forget this step during the release process. To help, we have introduced a new lint, remove deprecations in breaking versions. This lint detects leftover deprecated elements when a package version is updated to a new major breaking version. By flagging these cases, the lint helps ensure that your package's API remains modern and easy for your users to understand. The existing @deprecated annotation is a blunt instrument. It informs developer that API is no longer recommended, but it doesn't allow for nuance. For example, how do you signal that a class should no longer be extended but can still be instantiated? To give package author more precise control over their API's evolution, Dart 3.10 introduces a suite of new, more specific deprecation annotation. You can now deprecate specific use cases for classes and mixins. Deprecate.extend, deprecate.implement, deprecated.subclass, deprecated.mixin, and deprecated.instantiate. Additionally, you can now signal that an optional parameter will be required in future version using deprecated.optional. Search, sort, and unlike support for your favorite packages. Managing your favorite package on pub.dev just got a major upgrade. You can do this through the search feature or the likes tab on your profile, where you can now search, sort, and filter your liked packages with the same familiar controls you use for regular packages. This includes sorting by likes, pub points, and popularity. We have also improved the UI for unliking packages, making it easier than ever to keep your list of liked packages tidy and up to date. If you have chosen to search for your liked packages with the search feature, simply add "is liked by me" to your query. To enhance security and prevent accidental publication, you can now disable manual publishing for your packages. This is ideal for packages that have an automated publishing workflow or are no longer being actively published. By disabling manual publishing, you prevent package updates using personal credentials, reducing the risk of unauthorized or accidental release. You can control this feature in your packages admin tab using the enable manual publishing checkbox. Wrap up, the Dart 3.10 release brings a host of improvements focused on developer productivity, tooling, and the overall health of the package ecosystem. From language features like dot shorthands that make your code more concise to powerful new tooling capabilities like analyzer plugins and stable build hooks, we hope this release empowers you to build even better apps. We are incredibly grateful for the many engineers and teams who contributed to this release, including a special thanks to our community contributors who helped make Dart better for everyone. We are excited to see what you build with Dart 3.10. To get started, you can get the Dart 3.10 SDK today. For a complete list of all the new updated features, check out the Dart SDK changelog.